Hello and welcome to episode 24 of The Closing Track, the official podcast of AnotherAscendingLark.com, where the faith you believe collides with the music that you love. I'm Austin, your host, and I am joined here as always with...
Brett, your friendly neighborhood Super Saiyan.
But it's supposed to be Spider-Man.
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Goku beats Spider-Man.
Goku would absolutely destroy Spider-Man.
Yes, he would.
That wouldn't even be... That would actually be funny just to see how bad.
Like, I'm pretty sure Kid Goku would destroy Spider-Man.
That would be hilarious. We got a great show planned for you today. We have got quite a bit of news to cover. It's been a pretty eventful week as far as the news go, and then we've got some reviews, and we're going to talk today about how music can enhance or hinder the worldview of the artist and make certain messages stronger or make certain messages weaker. We've hit on this before, but we're actually going to take some time to really hit in on it. But back to Goku real quick.
Yes.
Why isn't Goku with the Avengers? I mean, Goku could have done away with Loki in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, if you just look at the series as a whole, Goku is not a very good person. He puts whole galaxies at risk just so he can get the thrill of a good fight. So I'm pretty sure after, in the Avengers movie, after Loki and all of them are defeated, he's going to turn to Thor, Tony Stark, and all of them and say, all right, y'all are next, let's fight.
I mean, but they wouldn't fight him, I don't think, because they would see what he did to Loki and just be like, no, thanks, we're good. We're good. We don't need to fight.
Okay, fair enough. He probably would accept them refusing, but he would really try to get them to fight him.
I mean, yeah, I guess he would, but it just doesn't. If Goku were to be available for the Avengers would become really boring all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, they basically just sit back eating
shawarma,
yeah, as Goku beats up everyone.
As Goku single-handedly Kamehamehas everybody into the next galaxy.
Yes.
That would be really boring. And thankfully, I'm thankful that the Avengers doesn't have Superman in it, because Superman is like the closest equivalent to Goku.
I mean, they're also different universes.
They are different universes, it is true. But
I mean, when it comes to Superman, I mean, how many times are they going to rewrite his story?
Well,
his powers have been boring since the 1940s.
I'm glad you left out the...
Yeah.
I'm glad you left out the F-bombs of that quote, because it's a great quote. It's very true.
Yes.
Superman hasn't really changed or evolved over the years.
There is one evolution, though. Apparently, originally, he couldn't fly. He could just jump really far.
Oh, that would actually make things interesting.
That would put a really good limit on him, because right now, I mean, Goku, with as powerful as he is, he has his limits. Superman, he's afraid of green rocks, and if the sun turned red, he'd lose his powers. Other than that, you can't beat him.
Yeah, and that's why Superman's boring, is because Superman is like God.
Basically.
I mean, he's from the house of El, and El is Hebrew for God. I mean, son of God.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why he would be virtually immortal.
But still, Batman somehow managed to beat him.
That's because Batman is far and away the best superhero ever invented.
There's debate, but Batman's pretty high up there.
No. Batman is definitely the best. If you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook by searching for Another Ascending Lark. You can find us on Twitter at AALblog. You can send us an email at anotheraascendinglark@gmail.com. And you can check out the new anotheraascendinglark.com, where we're actually expanding our writing capabilities quite a bit. We've added a short form soft news feature, and we have been able to crank out a ton of news articles with our own slightly demented and twisted spin and commentary.
Slightly?
Well, not slightly, as in, and by demented I mean, actually, demented is just not a good word. I strike the word demented. That's not correct. With our own unique twist, because we're all special as individuals. We all have our different takes on everything. So,
and some of us are more different than others.
Yeah, no kidding, Brett. No kidding.
Yep.
So yeah, anotheraascendinglark.com. We've definitely been cranking out the stuff as of late, and we've got several more feature articles coming your way soon from the AAL staff. And also, if you want to find us on YouTube, we've put all the shows on YouTube, and all the new episodes will be uploaded to YouTube. I was talking with some friends of mine. They're Android users, and Android users are not podcast. Y'all aren't podcast friendly. Sorry, y'all aren't podcast friendly at all. Y'all don't have this one centralized glorious hub called iTunes.
But I can easily listen to Reform Pubcast and some other podcasts on
Yeah.
my phone.
But you don't have one single unified source. We do.
Man, we don't need it.
Yeah, I know. But and so it's now on YouTube. For those of you who want to listen on YouTube, you can tell your friends. I'm sure they will appreciate that. And if there's any other ways we can get the show to you, let us know. We want to get the show to you guys, and want to be able to get you guys entertained and enjoyed and enlightened from the weird voices of Austin and Brett. So let's get into some news real quick. Right off the bat, it's Monday morning. When you're listening to this, at least it's Sunday afternoon right now. Dimebag Darrell's grave was vandalized over the weekend by some no-name band from Indiana who happened to be touring in Texas, and yeah, the metal community as a whole is crying out for their death.
Yeah,
and it's not right. Like it's not the right response to that. But the ex-vocalist of Nuclear Hellfrost, a band from up north, decided that he wanted to do a prank on the grave of Dimebag, and Pantera, of course, saw it, put a picture of it to their 9 million plus fan base, and
who are only slightly less insane than the fan base of Slayer.
just slightly. And the next thing you know, the metal community as a whole is calling for the death of this guy. And we've got stuff on this on another Ascending Lark, and I've got something that hopefully we'll have published Monday afternoon on this. But yeah, so the vandalization of Dimebag Darrell's grave, it's just wrong, period. But I don't think the metal community would have cared as much if it hadn't been Dimebag. Probably, I don't think they would have cared as much.
I mean, if it was a lesser known artist, then, yeah, we probably would still.
Or even if it was just some metal band defacing some random person's grave for the fun of it. I don't think the metal.
Yeah, they'd probably get mad, and some of the bloggers would probably say not all metalheads are this jerky, but Dimebag Darrell is a legendary guitarist.
One does not simply piss off Pantera's fan base.
Yes.
That's just not a good idea. And the vandal has apologized, and the band has already lost quite a few of shows and touring spots because of this. But yeah, hopefully this will end soon, because this is just a real ugly ordeal overall. Also, Mumford & Sons, hopefully by the time you listen to this, Mumford & Sons will have announced some really big news. They teased it last week, and they put out a video on it showing with an electric guitar sound ringing through the air. It wasn't a banjo, it wasn't a kick drum, it was an actual electric guitar note.
Which is surprising.
Which I'm just like, whoa, hold on, guys, what's going on here?
Maybe they are legitimately trying to not do Sigh No More Part 3.
That would be awesome. If they do Sigh No More Part 3, I will be merciless on what I say about them. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Mumford & Sons Facebook page, hopefully they have something up there. I don't know.
And also, it seems that the famed franchise Rock Band is coming back for the new consoles.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Me neither. Of course, for those of you who have paid attention to anything the past decade, Rock Band and its precursor, Guitar Hero, have, dominated everything. It's been one of the biggest gaming franchises ever.
It was one of the biggest gaming franchises
Yeah, it was.
ever.
I think maybe one of their biggest downfalls, though, was releasing so many titles.
I think...
they'd have the main title, and then they'd have, 500,000 songs worth of DLCs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people just got sick of it. I know I, for one, got sick of seeing all this, and in order to keep up to date, you'd have to put down hundreds of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And so, hopefully with this comeback, they might bring it back a little bit in how much they saturate the market with their games.
And they haven't officially made the announcement yet, but when asked about it and when pressed about it, they gave a total non-denial, which it would make sense for them to not deny that they're working on something if in fact they're working on something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Part of me is kind of excited because I don't know. I'd like to be able to see what they could do with the Wii U. That might actually be kind of interesting. But yeah, I remember. Oh my gosh, Guitar Hero back in the day, it was at every single youth group gathering at my church.
Yes,
there was always a Guitar Hero stand.
And then there was, of course, the quote-unquote Christian version, Guitar Praise.
Oh my gosh, they had Casting Crowns on there. I'm sorry, that's just boring.
Yeah.
That's just boring.
And even going way back in the day, I remember when Donkey Kong came out with their game. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh my gosh,
but
yeah, I remember that.
it was the one with the Congos. And I
Yeah,
played on it for a while. I mean, it was fun. I got bored with it after a while, but I mean, games like this go way back to the GameCube.
Yeah, and they never last long either. I mean, Guitar Hero and Rock Band were like exceptions to the rule. And I think the reason Guitar Hero failed is because it failed to innovate. Whereas Rock Band, I mean, starting off right off the gate, Rock Band had
Yeah.
a full band set. You had drums and a microphone.
Yeah, with Rock Band, I mean, if you wanted to, you could just play the guitar like on Guitar Hero. But I mean, with Guitar Hero, you usually had to have a one-on-one duel if you wanted multiplayer or just have people watch. But with Rock Band, I mean, you have guitar, you have drums, you have vocalist. Didn't they even have bass?
Well, yeah, bass was part
Bass,
of
yeah.
yeah. They just bass was just basically the guitar.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did that in Guitar Hero 4, and I remember getting Guitar Hero 4 and being able to do that finally. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do next? I don't know.
And then Austin, I guess hell is frozen over.
I know, right? I saw this and I was just like, oh my gosh, World War III has been averted.
Yes, February 26th, I believe that's past Thursday,
Yeah,
Kanye West publicly apologized
to Beck.
to Beck.
Which that's a pretty. I mean, okay, you apologized. Good job, Kanye West.
Which I was like, I didn't even know you knew that word. But
He needed to be taught how to apologize.
yeah, but the first tweet he sent was very simple. I would like to publicly apologize to Beck. I'm sorry, Beck. I mean, no fanfare, no big drawn out bit of prose, just, hey, bro, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then later on, he even said, I would also want to publicly apologize to Bruno Mars. I used to hate on him, but I really respect what he does as an artist. And then after that, he said, I would also love for Bruno to sing this hook on the song 88 Keys Puff and I have produced. I've even asked Tyler to shoot the video.
Yeah, so, I mean, Kanye is already working with Taylor Swift, which this all began with the Taylor Swift incident back at the VMAs several years ago. And he's making music with Taylor Swift now, so hopefully this apology is genuine. That's the thing. Hopefully this is a genuine apology.
If it is, then maybe he will become slightly less egotistical over the next few years, which would be nice.
Oh, well, considering that his next album, this morning they announced the title of his next album, and it's I can't remember the exact name of it, so I don't want to quote it and get it wrong, but it continues the Yeezus theme. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen at all. This piece of news is, I want to pull my hair out because this screws up everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, so we get Monday, right? And Monday is like the world's least favorite day ever.
Yes.
Then we have Tuesday, which was the only, like, one of two shining bright spots in the week because it was the day when new video games were shipped and then when new CDs came out.
Well, I mean, it's really been the day for every form of entertainment to come out. I mean, books all came out. Yeah, CDs, movies, video games. Like, it's been a tradition. Of course, since we've gotten older, it hasn't really happened much, but my friends and I would, every Monday, the night before a video game release, we would go to GameStop, wait in line, get our game, and then spend literally the entire night staying up and playing video games. I mean, that's some of my favorite memories of us doing that.
Yeah. But now, at least as far as music is concerned, the the new release day has been moved to Friday, which essentially renders Tuesday. I don't know. What does this make Tuesday?
Just another day.
Just another day with no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
I mean, the thing is, like, yes, while there are still books and movies and video games that come out on Tuesday, they don't have the same sort of effect as music. Like, whenever I used to stay up and play video games all night long, this was when I was, still a full-time student, didn't have a full-time job, and I could handle it.
Right.
But now, I mean, if I got a game, if I even just waited for Tuesday to get the game, I'm only going to be able to handle it for a few hours before I'm going to need to go to bed so I can go to work the next day. Mm-hmm. And with a book, you're not going to be able to read that entire book on Tuesday unless it's a pamphlet.
I've never been to a midnight release for a book. That would just be weird.
Yeah, that would just be weird. I mean, like Harry Potter and the Aragon books had some pretty big midnight releases, but those are exceptions. movies, okay, yes, you can sit down and watch a movie.
Yeah.
But chances are when the movie comes out and you bought it that night, you've already seen it.
Oh, yeah.
With music, you have a chance to just get this piece of entertainment and listen to it.
All week long.
Yes, all week long.
No matter what you're doing.
And it's sort of a Monday recovery. Mm-hmm. You're able to recover from the crap that is Monday with,
Yeah.
new music from Tuesday. And by the way, I just have to say, why is it that Friday is so far away from Monday, but Monday is so close to Friday?
That's very profound. I don't have an answer for you. But the reason why they're doing it is at the moment, CD releases aren't all released on the same day worldwide. I know in Europe it's usually the Friday or Saturday, and then Australia, I want to say, is a day before that even. And so this puts every nation on the same release day. And the point that they're trying to get is, they're trying to combat piracy, whichever, which I'm fine with that on paper. But why in the world just not release them all around the world on Tuesday, dang it?
Yeah, I mean, Tuesday is the perfect day. I mean, Monday after work, you just want to go home and rest. You don't want to go and buy something. On Tuesday, you're still feeling a Monday. But then you can fix that with music.
Yeah. And then to add to legitimately depressing news, I'm sure y'all have heard and have already seen 10 million posts about this on Facebook and Twitter by now, but Leonard Nimoy passed away the past Friday at the age of 83. If you don't know who that is, shame on you. That is Spock, and he was also a very talented photographer, writer, director. I mean, the dude was
He did it all.
brilliant. The dude was a genius. And I almost binged watched The Wrath of Khan on Friday because I wasn't at work that day. And man, that was a tough one.
I mean, it definitely is a sad day for us nerds everywhere. And for those of you who don't understand, just
Shut up. Just shut up.
just let us be sad. I mean, I understand he's just a man like everyone else is a man, but he did a lot.
I mean, he
for the
inspired
nerd community. He inspired,
a whole generation.
yes,
And beyond.
and he continues to do so.
So prayers definitely for the Nimoy family and for all those that are connected with this. And yeah, thanks for all the good stuff that he did. He definitely did some great
He
stuff.
definitely lived long and prospered.
He certainly did. Well, let's stop being depressing. Let's get into some reviews. Brett, what did you listen to this week?
I listened to The Order of Things by All That Remains.
And you're still alive.
Yes, I am still alive. The first track is very aptly named for the album. It is called This Probably Won't End Well.
It's so funny. That's the first track. I don't know if they were self-mocking themselves because that's just true.
I mean, at first it started kind of interesting. This Probably Won't End Well is a very nice, sort of upbeat, clean vocal song.
It's their first radio single, I believe, for the album.
I mean, it was a decent song. Then you get to No Knock, which is a very hard-hitting, screaming song.
It sounds like every other metalcore band that's ever existed.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then, I mean, really there wasn't anything else that I thought was worth mentioning except for True Cult Metal I thought was a pretty good song.
Yeah, I mean,
it had a very good mix of different sounds and such. I mean, that was a legitimately good song. Then it ends with criticism and self-realization, which starts off slow and then sort of goes back to upbeat. It's a 7-minute song, but just sort of ends on a meh.
Well, the whole album is just a meh.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts where I couldn't tell when one song ended and another began because it all sounded exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did, it's not bad, but it's all the same, and it sounds exactly what they've been doing for the past 2 albums.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when I was listening to it, I haven't listened to the album prior to this, but 2 albums prior. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it. But I have it, and I've listened to it, and I was listening to it yesterday on my way back from my parents' house, and I'm just like, oh, hey, I remember that song from this album that came out in 2011. Cool. That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what would you pin this one as, since, there's not much to break down on this one?
Probably say a 6.
Oh, you're generous. I would have put it at a 4.
Well, I mean, I have to. It is better than the Imagine Dragons I reviewed, in my opinion, which I gave a 5.5.
Okay, I don't know. I'll have to think on that one. I'll definitely have to think on that one.
What did you listen to this week?
So I've been talking about for weeks how I've been really excited for Reds of Beauty and Rage, and it came out, and I pretty much binged listened to it the whole entire week. And man, I want to be able to say that it was a fantastic release, and it was, their comeback album, and it was the sequel to Innocence and Instinct that everybody's been waiting for these past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I don't know how many years it's been, but I can't. I can't. I mean, first of all, they totally ditched all of the stuff that they did with Release the Panic. Which did you ever get to listen to Release the Panic? I don't know if you.
I might have heard a few songs about it, but I don't think I've sat down and listened to the entire album.
Okay, so Release the Panic pissed off their whole entire fan base to the point where they went back and they took the best cuts of Release the Panic and they put strings to it because Release the Panic was they were trying to move away from that, and so their fans wanted strings, and so they put out an EP with strings mixed into these songs to make the fan base happy, which is really, really sad, and I have my own thoughts on that, but that's not for this time or this place. But it goes back to the Innocence and Instinct sound, which I love. Innocence and Instinct. That album is easily one of, if not the number one of my favorite hard rock albums, bar none. Anytime I put on Innocence and Instinct with my brother, the intern of the camp that must not be named, which, random pause, by the way, next week, we will be doing a special episode live from the camp that must not be named, which that will be fun.
Yes.
That will be a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, anytime you put on Innocence and Instinct, it's great. It holds up really well after all these years. This album started off extremely promising. It started off on a fantastic opening set of songs. It starts off with an intro track, Descent, which is very Hans Zimmer-esque, and then it moves into Imposter, which Imposter is, it's such a killer song. They really upped their infusion of strings into their hard rock sound, and then Of Shadow and Soul and Darkest Part follow that, and the first 4 songs on this album are killer. They're awesome. The only problem is that the precedent that they set with the first 4 songs, they don't really do anything with it. They just kind of repeat it ad nauseum all the way through 15 tracks. This album is way too long. First of all, this didn't need to be 15 tracks because it doesn't offer 15 tracks worth of original material. Second of all, there's several fillers in here. Track number 8 is called The Forest. It's about a minute long. It's absolutely pointless. The closing track, Ascent, is a beautiful piece by itself, but it's just kind of tacked on at the end like an afterthought. There's one too many ballads on here, and they managed to progress their sound and then de-evolve at the same time. They progressed their sound because they took the sound that everybody loved them for with Innocence and Instinct and souped that sound up to make it much better, make it in its best form yet. But they also regressed in that they fell back to a previous sound, A, partially because their fan base wanted them to, and B, they undid all of the progress that they made with Release the Panic. I didn't like Release the Panic, honestly, but I thought that it was a necessary step for them. With this, I feel like the overall net effect for them is a loss. Just because it's not up to the caliber of Innocence and Instinct. It feels like Innocence and Instinct Part 2, which is fine, but there are several good songs on here. Don't get me wrong, though. There are quite a few good songs on here, but overall, it's just definitely not what I had hoped it would be. So you said you listened to a few of the songs on it, and they just kind of all blended together a little bit.
Yeah, on my album, yes.
Oh, on your album. I thought you were talking about Red. Never mind. Well, I mean, that definitely is true of this album. The songs just kind of blend together and run together after a while. It had so much potential, and it didn't entirely fail, but it wasn't all as great as it could be. So I'm going to pin it at a 6. I pinned it at a 6 on my written review on anotherlisteninglark.com. Next week, I am so excited. Next week, we've got so many amazing releases coming out. First and foremost, Steven Wilson, Hand Cannot Erase. If I had come across Steven Wilson's The Raven That Refused to Sing and Other Stories in 2013, X-Toll's X-Toll would not have been the album of the year for 2013. It would have gone to Steven Wilson. Because, oh my gosh, so good. And then we got Ryan Colwell with Flatlands. Hey, you want to do Kelly Clarkson this week, Brett?
No.
What, you don't want to do? You don't want to do pop country?
No.
No.
And Kelly Clarkson's more like pure pop than anything. I think you're thinking of Carrie Underwood.
They're practically the same person, so
Yeah.
I mean. And then Third Day's got a worship album, Lead Us Back, Songs of Worship, and then also our favoriteest movie ever is finally coming out on physical release. Brett, did you hear that Believe Me's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this week?
Yes, that's going to be awesome.
I think they said they're selling it at Target and Walmart too, which that's a pretty big deal.
I will most likely get it if none of my roommates get it.
I will probably get it, and then we'll have to take it with us whenever we go do our special record store day episode.
Yes.
With Brother John.
And when I'm out working at the camp that must not be named, that will be one of the movies I bring.
I don't know how that would go.
It's like, hey, this is a Christian movie. Let's watch it. It has Lecrae in it. Okay.
I don't know how that would turn out.
And then I can watch as I troll people who are against a movie like that and then enjoy it with those who probably would just straight up enjoy it.
You'll have to let me know how that goes.
I will.
Okay, so this week, said we were talking about music and how it makes worldviews better, or makes messages better, and it makes it weaker. In particular, we want to talk about like how the Christian market kind of misses the point when it comes to this, and has forgotten that point. And it's based off of Art in the Bible. I mean, we're still going through Art in the Bible, and hopefully we'll be done with Art in the Bible here at the end of March. So we're winding this series down. And it's been a fun series. I've really enjoyed doing it, but we're getting near the end of that. Schaeffer doesn't spend so much time elaborating this point, and he doesn't do it at any particular point in the book. He just kind of mentions it all over the point. Brett, will you do that little short first quote there?
Paradise Lost.
No, I don't have that.
Oh, that one's not italicized, so. In fact,
My bad.
In fact, the effect of any proposition, whether true or false, can be heightened if it is expressed in poetry or in artistic prose rather than in bald, formulaic statement.
Which is, I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. That I could tell you, Brett, that we went to church, this morning. That we drove to church this morning, or I could say we drove through a reminiscent of World War II era Russia.
Yep.
To get to a very special and sacred place.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, it works.
I mean,
it was basically Soviet Russia out there. I mean, just a layer of snow over everything, fog everywhere, people driving lackadaisically like they didn't have any joy in their lives.
But it's the Lord's Day. It's supposed to be a day of joy.
It is, but people were probably depressed from the weather.
But you're an English major, and when he was talking about this point in Art in the Bible, he was speaking specifically to literature. I don't know. What are your thoughts on his statement? It seems pretty dang true as far as literature goes. But what about in the music sense? Is there an overlap in the way you approach your writing and the way you listen to songs?
Well, definitely. I mean, for example, one song we talk about all the dang time is Mirror of Souls.
I was about to say, we can't do this episode and not mention Mirror of Souls.
I mean, like you were saying before, we could just do bold formulaic statement and explain the process someone goes through when they, get regenerated by Christ. But then Theocracy comes along and writes a 22.5-minute epic about, just a pure allegory of this process. And it's simple enough to understand for anyone to understand, and it's told beautifully. And if you don't want to listen to the entire 22.5-minute song, just read the lyrics. The lyrics read as an epic poem.
And you, as an English major,
yes.
you can verify that.
Shifting rhyme scheme, very well done, in very good meter, mostly iambic pentameter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Mirror of Souls is if we've talked about one song consistently. It's Mirror of Souls.
Yes.
He makes the point about this again a little bit further on in the chapter when he writes about Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost, for example, contains many statements which, while artistically expressed, are almost straight theology. Just because something takes the form of a work of art doesn't mean that it can't be factual. Which have you read Paradise Lost?
Yes.
Okay, so you know any statements off the top of your head, like any points in the book off the top of your head that were like, because I haven't read it.
Not off the top of my head, like quote for quote, but there is a scene in heaven after the fall of man where I can't remember if it was after the fall of man or if it was before it, and they're just talking about the fall of man, where God the Father says, "Who in heaven will sacrifice themselves for the salvation of this?" And the only one who did was the Son. And it was told in a very beautiful, beautiful way. And one interesting thing about Paradise Lost, they never say Jesus in it when talking about it. They just say the Son. And
Well, they never say Jesus in Mirror of Souls either.
yeah, but the reason why they don't say it in Paradise Lost is Jesus wasn't named Jesus yet. He was just the Son.
Yeah, it
So, I mean, it is very interesting. Although I will say one sad aspect of when I read Paradise Lost is I did it as part of a secular class, and so we didn't really cover the theological points as well as we should have, and we
Sad
focused
day.
too much on Lucifer and how people say, well, like a huge misconception is that Paradise Lost was written to give pity to Satan, which it's not. It's not. And then in the class, we talked about how he inadvertently gave sympathy to Satan, which I'm just like, eh.
But these points aren't just like straightforward statements. Like you
Yeah.
have to mine like the way that it's written and the content of it in order to get what it's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, Paradise Lost is not Paradise Lost is not an album per se. It's not music, but I mean, because music incorporates lyrics and lyrics are a form of poetry, it definitely touches on the subject. I don't know. When I was working on the outline for this, the one thing that was really pricking at me was like classic rock, and the hedonistic lifestyle that was ushered in. I don't want to say ushered in per se, but was kind of made popular by the Beatles and then by the waves of rock that followed
Yeah.
after the Beatles. The music was good, and so it made their message of do whatever you want even better.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Van Halen songs I absolutely love, but you listen to the content of it and it's not good. Like one classic example, Hot for Teacher.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking about that song actually.
I mean, I like that song. It sounds good to me, but the lyrical content isn't really that good. And then I can't remember who sings it, but Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Oh, yeah, I know who does that. I can't think of the name of it though. It'll come back to me, I'm sure, in a second.
But I mean, and then another, probably one of the biggest ones, My Generation by The Who.
Oh yes,
I hope I die before I get old.
yes.
And then I saw an interview with them and they said, "Hey, you said this in the song. Do you really mean this?" Yes, I really hope I die before I get old.
But like the impact of those songs, like if they had just had the lyrics and then the song itself, like the music that they were playing to and the quality of the art sucked,
Yeah,
it wouldn't have impacted people the way that it did, wouldn't it?
not at all.
I mean, especially like the Who. Like that was actually
Yeah.
a perfect example of
Thank
that.
you.
And so, like when we have in the 60s and the 70s and 80s, with the rise of classic rock, it's also, in my opinion, one of the best eras of music that's ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, classic rock. I mean, to the right of Brett is my vinyl collection of about 5 or 6 AC/DC albums, several Kiss albums, a bunch of classic rock, a bunch of Journey, a bunch of Foreigner on vinyl, and the quality of that music helped the message resonate with people better. It amplified what these guys were saying and communicating through their worldview, which was not necessarily favorable to Christianity or to the gospel. And
But it worked.
but it worked. But it worked, and that's the thing. So why then does the Christian market not do this?
Because it's a song about Jesus, and you can't say anything bad about songs about Jesus.
but 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 why?
I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
But I mean, the Christian market, I mean, we both know like the Christian market has earned the reputation of like taking the best of the secular market, you know, taking the best of classic rock and other genres and like sterilizing it, making a Christian version of it. But Schaefer points out that the better the art, the better the worldview is communicated, which is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing.
Yeah.
And then on the Christian side, the art's bad, and so we wonder why only Christians are listening to music from Christian artists, and we're scratching our heads. Well, why are they not listening to our music?
We just need to sing more songs about Jesus. We need to up the JPM. Jesus per minute.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Just for those of listening, JPM, Jesus per minute.
yes, but I mean, like here's an example of like Opeth. Well, Opeth is certainly not a Christian band, and nobody really knows what like Opeth's lyrics actually mean. But the Mikhail Ackerfeld is not a believer. He's definitely not a Christian. And when you listen to like Watershed is easily one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time. That despair and that hopelessness and the bleakness of that album is so powerful because holy crap, the music is incredible.
Yeah.
Holy crap, like this is amazing music. And then I mean, I'm sure you've got examples where the music of a non-Christian or the music of a secular band resonates with you and impacts you because it's so good.
I mean, definitely like one of the big bands I really liked when I was younger and still really like My Chemical Romance.
That's a great example.
Like 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. That was their second album, but it was the one that gave them fame. And I mean, the lyrical content is pretty depressing, and it's a concept album about a guy who kills himself. Or no, he doesn't kill himself. He gets killed in a gunfight, and his girlfriend also does. And then he makes a deal with Satan in hell that Satan will give him life back, and then he will also give him his girlfriend back to life if he kills the souls of 100 wicked men.
Which, I mean, that by itself is interesting enough, but had the art itself not been good, would it have impacted you as much?
Definitely not.
So why are we not doing this as Christians?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think we're too focused on, the songs about God, the songs about Jesus, therefore it's good. But going back to what just sort of the converse of listening to bands that resonate with me, I'm sorry, but I've been holding my tongue on the name of this band for long enough. Casting Crowns.
Oh, I've said Casting Crowns plenty of times.
Okay, yes, but I'm going to take the time to bash Casting Crowns now.
Well, take the time to bash them with respect to the fact, because I know what you're going to say, and I agree with you, but be concise.
Yeah, I'm not going to rant.
Okay.
But, I mean, my parents had me listen to a lot of Casting Crowns, and I mean, a few of their songs aren't bad, but then, I mean, they're mainly just background noise for car rides a lot of the time. Then when I actually sat down to listen to them, I just blanked. I mean, I started blanking out, and whatever lyrical content was in those albums were completely lost on me because I just got bored and stopped paying attention to it, even though the music was blasting directly into my ears through headphones.
Which wasn't what happened when you first played Theocracy for you.
No, definitely not.
Definitely was not what happened the first time I played Theocracy
First
for you.
time I heard Theocracy, I'm pretty sure it was like that scene on SpongeBob with him and Patrick where they're just sitting there, just mouths wide open, eyes wide open, just.
That was my first time. Like, okay, let's talk about Theocracy. We're running a little bit out of time here. Like, Theocracy is like the converse of Casting Crowns in many ways because they are concerned about making good metal. And when I say metal, we're talking about metal in the striper, hair metal, progressive metal, not in the screaming sense. So if you hear metal and automatically equate it with screamo, that's not what we're talking about. If you haven't listened to Theocracy, we've dropped the name of Mirror of Souls 10 billion times. Go listen to it.
In the last minute.
But yeah, so Theocracy is on the opposite end of the spectrum. The reason why Theocracy has such a raging, passionate fan base, it's a small fan base at the moment. The reason why their fan base is so passionate is because these things that the worldview that these guys are communicating, and they're definitely Christians, that they don't hide that at all, is so powerful because they write freaking good music.
And then a perfect example, I think, would be Nailed.
Yes. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
the song Nailed, when you first hear that song and think it's from a Christian band, oh, it's about Jesus being nailed to the cross.
Nope.
No.
False.
It is about Martin Luther and the Reformation and him nailing these 95 things he's learned. They'll say that he must be burned, for God has no place for heretics.
Yeah. I mean, or Altar to the Unknown God.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is such a great song.
I mean, that song takes the scene with Paul at Mars Hill and brings it to life, and it just does. They just do a good job, and they write a good song about it, and they communicate what they believe about the song through the good music, and the music makes the message better.
Yes.
Why do people not understand this?
I mean, a lot of times it saddens me. I'll like have someone listen to Theocracy and they'll say meh because they don't like metal.
Which, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to fault
That's fine, that's fair, but I mean, at least appreciate the art they're creating. I mean, you might not like it, but you can't deny that it's good.
So the solution to this situation is then, which I think the solution for this situation is what we do, because we don't give a pass on, just because, it talks about Jesus, that it's good enough and, gets a good grade. I mean, we're hard on Christian bands. Many of our favorite bands are Christian bands,
Yeah.
like Theocracy. But we don't give a pass on bad music. And I think that the way that this scene changes is if we start realizing that, hey, just because the song is about Jesus doesn't mean that they have our approval or whatever. They're musicians. They got to make good music.
Which, I mean, I won't get into this now, but both of us have had several conversations with other people about this, and they just sort of brush it off like whatever. And no matter how much we tell them, this band sucks, this other band is good, therefore don't listen to the sucky band, listen to the good band. They're like, nah, whatever.
Which, I mean, music isn't necessarily quite as important as a subject as it is for you and us. I mean, we're music junkies, so I mean, it's not fair per se to apply our standards to others. But then again, as disciples of Christ, I mean, we need to think about this in a godly and Christ glorifying way. And if we're listening and interacting with music and not thinking about it at all, I dare say that's dishonoring to God for giving us a good gift, for giving us the gift of music, which is also a Theocracy song.
Yes.
And it's a necessary part of our discipleship. And we've hit on that before, but
Because, I mean, even if you're not a big music junkie, I mean, I can't remember who it was that said, oh, yeah, it was my current Shakespeare professor said that he believes that there's certain music, certain shows, certain movies, certain books we can read that are bad for us because they're not good quality. This man is not a Christian.
yes.
But he is hardcore against people consuming bad art because it is bad for you, and I wholeheartedly agree.
And Schaefer's talked about that before, how, if we truly care for our neighbor, we'll care for what they're consuming, and we wouldn't want to give them a badly prepared, like, dish. And he doesn't reference that specific analogy. This is my analogy. We don't want to give them, a McDonald's hamburger, and say that, this was from us. We want to bless our neighbor with good food. So why would we bless them with bad music or suggestions?
And then, again, like, with the people that I've talked to that are hardcore into the CCM community, and I try to get them to listen to something that's not that, and they just brush me off, I'm just like, don't you understand that there's so much more you could be doing? Don't you understand that this music you're listening to is not glorifying to God because it's not good, beautiful music?
They might the artists probably mean well, but they can do better, which that's what we try to do, is we try to, encourage artists and musicians to do better. But we're running out of time here. We could ramble on this, until, until Monday.
Yeah.
The day of torment. Right, you got any recos for this episode? You got any recos for this?
I have a dis reco and I have a reco.
Go for it.
My dis reco is attempting to make Mandarin orange cider.
Yeah, that kind of failed.
Yeah, I managed to get a hold of some Mandarin oranges, crushed them up, added water and sugar and some yeast to sort of see what would happen, and smelled decent, but yeah, there definitely wasn't a strong enough orange presence in it. And my reco, I don't know why I woke up today and felt like watching this movie, and I probably will later, is Redcliffe.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier.
Yes, it is a movie about the Battle of Red Cliffs, which, for those of you who don't know, this is an ancient Chinese battle, which features military strategist Kong Ming. A lot of you probably don't know who that is. If you've played Dynasty Warriors, you probably do. But he is put up as the same caliber, possibly even better than Sun Tzu. And the way it shows him doing military strategy in this, it's just beautiful and incredible. And the end of the movie, I won't spoil it, but he pulls off an incredible attack that destroys the enemy. And it was incredibly risky. Few people believed it would actually work, but it did. And it was amazing.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
And it's 2.5 hours long, so if you want to watch it, make sure you have some time cleared up.
Yeah, definitely for a movie like that. My Reco is not necessarily a product, but something to do. If you use Blogger, which another Ascending Lark for the time being is hosted with Blogger, hopefully within the next couple of months it'll change. But if you use Blogger, don't pay attention to your internal stat tracker. It's just wrong, like fatally, seriously wrong. Get Google Analytics. It's free. You can plug it into Blogger with ease, and it'll give you an accurate picture of like how many pings or how much actual traffic you're generating. I've been finding out a lot of things about another Ascending Lark and just this whole writing and podcasting and sharing and content generating enterprise this week, and that was one of the more depressing things, was realizing that, so we didn't actually have like 400 hits yesterday. We only had 50. Swell. That's depressing, but oh well. It could be worse. And so just get Google Analytics. It's easy. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it, and it gives you much better information. So yeah, now we'll just continue to stay hunkered up here in our winter bunker,
In Soviet Russia.
Yeah, really, because it's so freezing cold outside. Brett, thanks for taking time out of your Sunday as usual to do this show with me.
Of course, and thank you for starting the show. I really like being able to do this.
Yeah, I'm definitely thankful that we're able to do this together. And as always, we want to mention the gospel. And the reason why Brett and I are so passionate about this subject is the gospel. I mean, short and to the point, we're passionate about this subject because we are passionate about the gospel that has saved the two of us and has saved us to love what God has done in our lives through Jesus Christ, and then also love God's good creation. And we love our neighbor as ourselves when we care about the things of God, and we love our neighbor as ourselves when we seek out the good in God's creation. God has given us music as a gift to enjoy, and some music is better than others. I mean, to sum it up, some music is just better than others. It's a discipleship issue. It's not a salvation thing. We're not saying anybody's going to go to hell for listening to Casting Crowns, but it means seriously, the gospel is the reason why we do this. It's the foundation for it. It's why we care so much. If you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook at Another Ascending Lark. You can search for us on Twitter at AALblog. You can send us an email at anotherascendinglark@gmail.com. You can visit us at anotherascendinglark.com, where again we've added a short, soft news feature. You can get there. You can go there now for all of your weird, crazy, not always serious, sometimes really, really weird news. And then YouTube, of course, you can find us on YouTube as well. Next week's episode, we are hopefully going to be live from the camp that must not be named. Don't know what we're talking about yet, but we're not going to spoil it even if we did. You guys stay safe and have a great week.